And this episode of Dr. Drew After Dark is brought to you by Stamps.com and Care of, but we'll get into that a bit later. For now, on with the show. Hi, I'm Dr. Drew, and this is Dr. Drew After Dark. Please be advised that Dr. Drew After Dark may contain sexually oriented content and be unsuitable for young children. And welcome everybody to another Dr. Drew After Dark. We appreciate all the support. I appreciate those emails and the voice messages at 818-253-1693. One day we will have calls live. One day. Right now, I need your emails at drdrewafterdark@gmail.com. And again, the voice messages at 818-253-1693. I'm increasingly impressed that I think people need a place to go for answers. I'm astonished how bewildering the internet was supposed to be a source of information. It's only bewildered people further. So please bring them on in. Also, support the people that support the podcast and the YouTube channel, please. We need to keep this thing going, so we appreciate that. Speaking of appreciate, my next guest, somebody I've always appreciated, the great Seth Green.
Hey, thanks, Drew.
How are you, man?
I'm good.
You know what's hysterical? The movie is Changeland. I watched it over the weekend. I loved it.
Oh, thanks.
And I got a lot to say about it.
Oh, let's hear it.
But my first reaction was, isn't the first time I goddamn met you when you were like 14 was with Breckenmeyer?
Yeah.
Like the first time it was the two of you together.
Yeah, we had finagled our way onto Loveline.
And it's so weird for me to see you guys together now.
It was when Poor Man was doing it.
Oh my God, was it that long ago?
Yeah.
And seriously, you were like 15.
I think I was 16 because I was driving.
and Brecken?
Yeah, we're the same age.
Okay, so I just remember you guys as kids and me thinking, is this okay? Is this all right? Is you guys gonna be okay? You know.
Yeah, but isn't that the average age of the callers?
Then it was. Getting? Then it was very much that way. Yeah. But even so you guys freaked me out a little bit. You got into it pretty deep.
Oh, because of our level of maturity, or
yeah, willingness to take on. I'm not sure it's maturity is the answer, but willingness to take on the grittier substance. Yes,
sure.
You guys were like, yeah, I've done that. It's like,
let's find out. Yeah.
You haven't changed at all. So the movie, let me just give you, aside from my first thing was like, oh my God, there they are again. And I felt like I had a weird little time machine moment watching you two screw around in Thailand.
Yeah.
Secondly, it was a love card, like a postcard for Thailand. It was beautiful.
Thanks.
Is that someplace you've always loved, or did you do that intentionally?
Yeah, I got to go to Thailand in 2009 with my friend Dan. And everything that happened to us felt like it was in a movie. And all of the scenery and all of the circumstance, just the two men on a vacation together being constantly misinterpreted as vacationing lovers and just all the characters that we met. And the way it really feels, I've always been attracted to stories about people. You know, I love movies and I love fantasy and, action or mystery, but I also like
relationships,
simple stories just about people.
Yeah.
And that was what I wanted to tell, was a story about sort of a coming of age in your 30s.
And fighting through.
Yeah.
Fighting through and again, finding
you're going to quit. You're going to quit or you're going to keep going.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. Life throws all kinds of horrible curveballs at you.
Yeah.
Even in your greatest highlights, you're still experiencing some depth of struggle that feels singular, that feels, like it's not exactly what everybody is dealing with. And I like telling a story about the sameness of us all, regardless of our individual circumstance.
And I know how you are when you work, because I got to see you do Robot Chicken. You very kindly let me do a voice, and you and your partner, you know exactly what you want. I remember you. What I always tell people when I would get that whatever note was you wanted, you both would jump out of your chairs simultaneously together. That's it.
Yeah.
And I thought I don't know how, particularly animators, how they know what they want, but they know what they want. So my question is, and obviously we'll talk about Robot Chicken in a minute, but is it the same with making a film where you're like on the set, you're directing this thing, and you kind of know when you got the moment?
There's a lot more room for alchemy in live action than there is in animation. Typically with animation, especially comedic animation, there is a finite chemistry to what will or will not yield a laugh. And if your end result is a laugh, then you've got to have the exact right mixture with the exact right timing.
Well, I was just saying the timing's got to be weird too. Stop action, figuring out joke timing.
Get a little bit of in animation. You have a little bit more control. You'll record your voices first, and that's taking into consideration everything that you've already written. And so it should sort of sound something like this because you're imagining all the individual parts getting put together.
Interesting.
And then once you've got the voices, you marry that with the storyboards, and you're able to come up with the exact timing of the joke. And that way you give the animator something that's relatively finished, and then they just need to bring a performance to it. So
by animator Nadab, these guys have a factory, a stop action factory. Same still, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. I used to take my kids there to visit it, and it's literally, how many were 9 stages, 10 stages?
Oh man!
Running?
So the current studio, we're doing both Robot Chicken and a show called Crossing Swords for Hulu that's not coming out till 20. And so we have
also stop action.
Yeah, it's like over 40 stages operating.
Oh my god! And each one of these people is like a mini genius, moving their.
Well, they're your performer. That's my favorite. That's my favorite analogy of it. Is that you essentially cast every part 3 times, right? You cast your voiceover performer that's going to do the voice. You cast the puppet itself that's going to be the visual representation of the character.
Somebody builds that for you?
Yeah, a team of people. Each individual puppet is probably built by 7 people.
Yeah.
And then you have your animator, which brings the thing to life.
And then you have editors and whatever else.
Well, all that stuff, it becomes a factor of the completion of the thing. But for the performance itself, it's usually those three.
It's so crazy to watch.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Well, so with live action, there's just completely different things to consider.
Yeah.
And you get the innovation of your performer on set the same way that you would with an animator. It's just they'll all sort of react to each other.
Okay.
And so in that case, it's putting the right group of people together to be able to yield some kind of innovation.
Which is my next question. Aside from it being a love letter to Thailand, how the hell did you get Macaulay Culkin to show up and do that?
Well,
how the hell did you do that?
I guess I didn't realize it would be such a challenge. So Mac and I have known each other it's over 20 years now.
He's not just playing, he's playing an interesting character.
Yeah, well, he's actually a really incredibly competent actor and a really gifted performer. That's what he was born to do. But, becoming famous as a child the way that he did, and also getting rich and, being able to keep his money and never get...
How did you get him to do this? Just promise him a trip to Thailand?
No, I just asked him. I'd been writing the thing for years, and every time I mentioned it to him, I told him I'd been writing this part for him, and he always expressed an interest in doing it, and then he just came and did it. And that's the fun thing about him, is he's in a point in his life where he can make those kinds of choices to completely refuse to audition or have no interest in doing anybody's parts, and then also do whatever he wants. He had a friend produce I think it was Aladdin, did a total independent, goofy rock and roll version of Aladdin. He was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do this.
Good for him. Yeah. So it's you, it's Breckenmeyer, it's Macaulay, it's Brenda Song, Claire Grant, Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Was it just a vacation? Were you hanging out with your buddies and friends? Or
I offered them all that they could stay on either side.
Was it fun?
It
looked like everyone's having a great time. But.
When for me, making movies is what I love. It's something that I know really well, and a process that I really enjoy. And then I thought, both who would I most prefer to share this experience with?
That's what it seemed like to me.
But it's also, who can I guarantee is going to give me the thing that I need with the least amount of conflict, right? So when you're going out to Thailand to shoot for 24 days, and I know we're not going to get a lot of second or third takes on stuff. I know that the conditions and the obstacles and the circumstance are going to be such that I need to be able to depend on everybody that I'm bringing.
Yeah.
And that was how I cast it. I wrote all these parts for each of these people, knowing that they would both visually and from their performance give me exactly what I needed to tell this story for an audience.
Well, that's the other thing about it. The cast is just exceptional. They just nail. Everyone nails it.
Good. But it makes me look smart.
But it was too much. It was weird for me to see you and Brecken together again. I just flashed all the way back.
That's funny. Yeah, I love working with him. He's one of my favorite collaborators.
So, Robot Chicken. Oh, you put up the thing on Changeland? Yes, the Changeland. There we go. Look at you guys. You're like men now. What the hell? You're little kids. Last time I saw you guys sitting next to each other like that.
That's fun watching you trip about that.
It's weird, isn't it?
Because for me, I don't feel the age. I mean, I could objectively look back and go, oh yeah, I was such a kid when I was 16.
Well, I don't feel that way about you when I see you now in real world. But when I see you with him, I just go right back to that.
We were such nerds.
That's so fun. And anyway, and Randy Orton too did a nice job on this.
Isn't he great?
Yeah.
Do you watch? Are you into WWE at all?
I'm familiar, but I'm not into into it.
Yeah.
But he just did everyone just did I believed it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I believe
Good.
it. And I also I don't want to give away anything, but you in your writing, you left some interesting question marks that were good. That were just the ones that just enough to let you drive your own conclusions about things.
Right on. So, I'm really happy with the movie and very excited about how
look
it's
at you guys as teenagers
being received.
Look at that.
I'm probably
you're probably 18 or 19 there.
Maybe 17 with those jeans.
Yeah, I knew them before that. I don't think you had facial hair.
That's into our 20s. That's 2009.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Anything? Funny. Find something with me and them in there. See you last time.
I posted that recently. Me with that crazy hair.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Look at you.
That I'm probably 16.
Well, that's probably when I saw you guys. So.
Actually, if I've got that hair, I've got to be 18.
Oh, God. Well, let's. You keep looking for a picture of the two of them with me, if you can possibly find it. Which I don't know that there ever was one. Maybe the night we were in the studio there.
Maybe.
There you are with Macaulay. Was that on the set? The rabbit ear is just an homage.
No, the rabbit ears. It all started as we were going to the New York Comic-Con for like 7 years straight. And Mac had just not done anything in public. He just didn't give a shit. And I kept joking that when we kept bringing him on the panel at New York Comic-Con, and I joked that it was both the semi-annual meeting of the Silly Hats Club, and we all wore like funny animal hats, or that it was the annual public appearance of Macaulay Culkin. And so we'd gotten into this thing with the ears, with all of the animal ears.
Oh Jesus, look at that.
And it sort of just became a party thing. You know, people would come over for a party and we'd be like, yeah, you can wear an animal hat, you can wear these animal ears. And so when I was talking to Mac about what this character would be, the sort of spirit animal that this character was meant to represent for our characters, he was like, well, I should bring some animal ears. I'm like, yeah, you're full on wearing those bunny ears.
And that was that
in the thing. And he, over the course of doing the movie, came up with the idea for his own podcast, which became his sort of parody lifestyle brand, which is called Bunny Ears.
Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, so there is a little bit of like which came first, but I feel like it's all sort of the same thing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So Robot Chicken, what's the most fun thing about that show? I know it's a heavy burden, man. You guys work your ass off on that thing.
It is a lot. I have done so much better over the last several years with delegating responsibility and taking less of it on personally, which has just been a healthier way to live. And also you get to empower other people who are really, really talented to bring their own voice to it and improve it, you know, because there's only so long that you can make the same kind of thing before it feels very the same. And so consistently bringing new voices in or other collaborators has helped us maintain its relevance. But yeah, we can offline. You should come visit.
Okay.
We recently did some renovation. We've expanded into a couple of buildings.
40 theaters, my God.
Yeah, it's
40.
nuts.
I think of those as little theaters because you peek in and
they really are.
You see this.
Yeah, I always imagine it's sort of like Warner Brothers, where each one of those sound stages has their own entirely contained production.
Yeah.
And in this case, it could be, you know, scenes of like when we were shooting our show Super Mansion, the whole thing takes place in a couple of sets and then occasionally a new set. So you have that set standing, but we also have 4 different versions of areas of that set so that different animators could be shooting coverage in different stages without having to overlap each other. That way you don't have to wait. Like imagine if you're making a movie with Bryan Cranston and you could have 8 of him shooting in different locations on the same day.
But I mean, that's the wisdom of having done this long enough. It brings you.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's really
it's
the only way to accomplish it for the budget. Like you just have to be really smart about the planning.
Are they still sportive over there at Cartoon Network?
Yeah, Adult Swim has been awesome with making the show, but we're also sort of aware that there is a finite growth to the behind the scenes money. Yeah. Like there's only so far it can go.
Yeah.
And so it's always been up to us to be able to accomplish the show at a cost.
It's producing.
Yeah.
So this show is a lot about, you know, people in comedy and what leads to that. I think about you as a comedic actor and writer. Do you think of yourself as a comedian?
I don't think about myself as a comedian because that usually implies microphone on stage.
That's what I'm asking.
Writing stand-up.
But still,
I
being a
definitely
actor and writer, that's comedy.
I've always felt like comedy is my superpower.
Yeah.
In that I recognize that not everybody is funny and not everybody is instinctively funny. And that's always a music that I've heard very clearly is what is or is not going to yield a joke. And so to that end, I recognize that that's an ability that I've got that's unique, but I've never thought of it as my defining quality.
When did you first feel it, see it?
What, being funny?
Or the experience of getting a laugh? Or feeling like you got it?
That's young. That's like very, very young.
I got peers with your, hanging out with your friends, or was that?
Yeah, I got a little laughs with friends, but I never strived to be the class clown. I was so drawn to the stage so quickly, and I recognized that I had an ability to govern an audience and give them an emotion.
Was that literally on theatrical stage, or did you immediately go to?
The first time I was on stage, it was at summer camp, not when I was attending, but when my mom was working there, and I got to participate at one summer camp in a talent show that the campers were putting on, and I got to be. They had interstitials to the talent show. Instead of someone just walking up and saying, "Our next guest is this," they set up a Star Trek type exploration where we were making our way to different planets, and there were different performers on each of the planets. So we had like a shootout adventure, and then I was in the captain's chair, and it was very funny because it's a tiny child as the captain.
How old were you?
5, 6.
Isn't there a weird almost scene like that in Austin Powers where you're in Evil's chair or something?
Oh yeah.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, we're all that. I never even thought about that. But yeah, you could definitely draw a comparison to that. But I knew right away, and then I got to actually be in a play. I talked my way into a play with the teenagers, and I got one line
in camp,
in summer camp.
How old were you?
That was when I was 6.
Wow.
Yeah, and I got to like do the whole thing with take a curtain call and do all the rehearsals, and it was very different than the interstitials of the talent show.
And was your mom a theatrical person, or was she?
No, she's an artist.
Was she encouraging?
She wasn't discouraging, but no one. I think if you're growing up in Philadelphia in a lower middle class neighborhood, going to public school, and it's K through 12, and there's not a single other person who is trying to be a professional performer, there's not a lot of expectation that it's going to work.
When did that kick in, the professional part?
I got my first job. My first job was the first audition I went on when I was 7.
7?
Yeah.
And so you just kept going?
Yeah.
Was your mom working with you then?
Yeah, she would take me. I had to take the train to New York, go on as many auditions as I could manage.
Stage or commercials, or what was it?
Whatever. I did everything.
Did you go on Broadway?
I auditioned for a bunch of Broadway stuff. I never got anything.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And your family together? Your parents, were they together?
No, my parents split around when I was 15.
So did this have anything to do with it? Your mom was busy with a son's career kind of thing?
I'm sure I could shoulder some blame for keeping them apart, but they had such complicated communication problems for so long that...
Is that a euphemism for domestic abuse?
No, there wasn't any
communication. They screamed at each other.
No, there wasn't any like physical violence.
No, I mean, but emotional abuse, where they yell at each other, that kind of thing.
I don't think they were really good at talking out their feelings, and my sister and I kind of marveled that they ever got together because they seem very unlikely. And then to hear each of them tell it, their motives for getting married or for having kids were so happenstance that it didn't seem like there was any organized planning.
Were they young teenagers?
They weren't quite teenagers, but they were both teachers in their 20s.
Teaching art, and then
my dad taught math and computer sciences, and my mom taught art.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it's sort of interesting. You've sort of combined both in a weird way with some of the digital stuff.
Yeah, I've got a crazy, I think both of them just through biology have given me an incredible comprehension for both of those fields, and I'm
really
grateful for
interesting.
That. Yeah.
That's I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. They also both showed me everything growing up. So my mom took me around to museums and festivals, and I met all kinds of people from all kinds of backgrounds, genders, race, religions, like all of it. I was introduced to such a scope of humanity at a young age, and taught very early that none of that is a thing to be judged about. And so that was great.
Was it a happy childhood?
Yeah.
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 And your married life?
What about it?
How's it going?
Oh, it's great. We're married. We're 9 years deep. Man.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Last time I saw you, just got married. Last time we actually had a personal conversation.
Is that true?
And I literally...
I feel like we've run into each other a bunch, but I guess we haven't had like a real chat up about it.
I actually specifically didn't ask because I thought, God damn it, I really don't know how things are with that. That art show, whatever we were at, it was not like the place.
No, and even worse, when I saw you, I was so in the middle of like 3 different things that I felt bad that I wasn't more present.
You were fine. Trust me, you were fine. It was just good to see you because I hadn't seen you in several years at that point. And so, and that's what made me feel guilty. And I thought, I can't ask now. Like, hey, how's your wife doing? Oh, we've been divorced 4 years. Like,
no. We got married on purpose, and we're really good at working it out.
She seems great. You literally just got married. I was working on Greg the Ape.
Greg the Bunny. It was the MTV iteration of it, right? War on the Ape.
And you were at that party for something else.
Were we even married at that point? Maybe
if not, you were like just
about,
yeah. And it seemed great to me. I was all signed off on it, so good for you. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
What's she up to these days?
She's good. She's actually writing right now.
It's great.
Yeah. When I met her, she was dabbling in producing, and she's really great at it. I just don't think she's terribly passionate about it. Like you gotta actually love it. So when she finds a project that she gets excited about.
I would say the writing may bring her into it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, well, Seth, what we do here is we listen to emails and we listen to voice messages and we take emails and,
all right.
And we sort of wade our way through. Do we have any videos for Seth to break his hymen a little bit on this whole thing?
I don't know about video. Actually,
you make it sound so appealing.
Well, I might want to. I just thought we might.
These hymen-shattering video
we
experiences.
We haven't revisited the check it out guy in a long time.
The try it out guy.
Try it out guy, yeah.
And sure, if you want that type of clip for Seth, give me a second.
Yeah, I think Seth's good.
Oh my God! All right,
Seth's a pro.
That's true. I have over the years handled all kinds of. That was my favorite ongoing conversation. I felt you were the most qualified barometer because I clock minor evolutions in culture. And that's one of my favorite things is just sort of studying people and pop and how certain concepts evolve and what translates to a younger generation or how they make peace with something.
You got a lot to think about right now, right?
Well, fuck, man. There was a point where you and I, and it was years into doing Loveline, the age of the caller got younger and younger, and the severity of complication of their question.
That's right.
And then we started to see the influence of the internet and internet porn and just the way that was confusing people's self-evaluation or what they were even turned on by.
That was one of the great things about Loveline is you had real-time connection to all this stuff, right? So you could see what people were experiencing. This show's given me something a little bit similar.
Well, you've always been my best barometer because I felt like you and I would confer and just be like, oh my God, that's actually happening. So this used to be this and now it's this, huh?
And I just remember, when I did that crank anchor and I ran into you backstage.
The best.
You were like,
the best.
Oh my God.
It's the best.
That one's going to be, I think, submerged. I don't think today it would be viewed kindly.
Really?
I have a suspicion.
Crank anchors at all?
It would my particular thing. My particular thing.
It's so funny though.
It is very funny. It was met with peace and love. Trust me.
Prank phone calls are still.
They're coming back.
Very very funny.
Crank anchor's coming back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I really love that.
Except I think maybe you'd be on it because it's all now Kimmel's world. So like George Clooney's going to do a voice and things like that. So it'll be interesting.
Making prank calls is one of my favorite pastimes.
So your mom's house got connected with this guy.
Oh yeah.
And when I first came on their show that led to this show, they went, what do you think about this guy? And so I'll ask you the same thing.
All right.
Black guys who love to fuck and fuck good. If you're a hot black guy and you want to fuck me at $23.95, if you want to move in, you can move in, but you gotta fuck me. I need to be fucked a lot, man. Get free food, free rent, and everything else, man. Here's the deal, man. Men from jail, homeless, or you're a thug, you want to come move in, your friend can move in with you too, man. Free rent, you get a lease and a key. Fuck me. Piss on me, beat me, I'm home now. You see me, you want to come over today and try it out, man. If you're in my building, try it out. You want to fucking piss on me, try it out.
Okay.
So you have to fight only as fuck, man. I'm looking for hardcore guys that mean it, want to do it, and I want to deliver it. I'm a hot white trash. Come, let's fuck.
Try it out. So he became the try it out guy. And I first saw that. Well, what's your reaction?
Well, there's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, there's indeed.
Indeed.
Get your snifter out and your pipe and let's analyze.
I mean, I have to assume that he's sincere.
He is sincere,
right? So
we have since made contact with him.
So if you presume sincerity, then it's just about the way So as the internet formed and as people could find each other,
yes,
I discovered that people became far more honest. Or at least more upfront,
expressive about their stuff.
Well, because you're able to say things or put out messages. It's what I've always heard. So I've never been with a prostitute because I've always had healthy romantic or sexual relationships with actual humans.
Okay.
And not to imply that prostitutes aren't human,
but without paying.
But typically there is an agreement where you can be your real self with a prostitute because they offer you no judgment in your real life.
I would argue those aren't real. Those are pieces of self that you disavow.
Well, this is why I've never been with a prostitute. I'm simply saying that this guy, him being at a place where he's like, I can't say this at my job. I can't say this on a blind date.
Yeah.
But I can put this message out to a Craigslist or a dating site and say, hey, look, no veil, no
try it out,
concealing. This is what I want.
Try it out.
And I'd always heard that you don't get what you want if you're afraid to ask for it.
I love your interpretation. I love it, but it made me sad when I first saw it.
Yeah, well,
it made me sad.
here's the thing.
These are traumatized pieces of people that do need to be expressed. You're right about that.
Anybody who's like, I want you to beat me, I want you to pee on me, something happened.
What? You're kidding.
Something happened because you don't desire
Well,
that.
now we should get the follow on there where I did make some concerns about exactly this.
Well, you simply don't desire those kinds of things unless all of your introductions to sexuality were through violence and trauma.
You might be onto something.
Yeah, because all that stuff implies a requirement of shame to be able to,
which is why I got sex.
Be sexually satisfied.
But here we'd made contact.
And it shouldn't be shameful.
So I said something like you just said, and he caught wind of it. Apparently, and here was his.
He had a response.
He had a love note to me as a result.
Give me a second. Let me pull it up.
Okay.
Is it like, Drew, no one's ever seen me like you?
Oh, it's a little different.
You see me, I want you to pee on me.
No, nothing so fun. Oh, but he had the rabbit ears on. Strangely enough, maybe it's an homage to Macaulay. I don't know. But here we go.
Is there some kind of deeper subtextual meaning to the rabbit ears that I'm not aware of?
Wasn't it Easter or something at the time he did this?
Maybe.
Nadav?
Sorry?
Wasn't it Easter around the time?
Oh, yeah.
It was Easter.
That's why he's got
the rabbit.
on.
Yeah. And if you see in the bottom there, it's somebody's texting or screening with it or chatting with him saying, Dr.
Oh, yeah, this looks like a Periscope.
Yeah, this is an Instagram Live. He's very active on Instagram Live.
Check the record. Yeah. Dr. Drew, what was Dr. Drew saying about me? Yeah, probably negative. Well, I couldn't get by Dr. Drew. Because Dr. Drew to me is a fucking moron. I was never molested. I'm not unhappy. I'm not I got a brain, okay? Very intelligent. Very, very intelligent. I don't think Dr. Drew can compare to my brain. Only Dr. Drew compared to the goddamn fucking chicken head. That's like Colonel Sanders. He reminds me of Colonel Sanders with the virus.
Hey, that's true. If you ever really put on a
I was going to say,
you could probably rock that pretty hard.
If Kentucky Fried Chicken is listening, I would happily be one of their Colonel Sanders.
They're casting a wide net, too.
It would be pretty funny, wouldn't it? It would be pretty ironic. So I want to thank him for putting me up for the casting on Colonel Sanders. If you happen to hear of anyone doing that casting, please throw my name in the ring.
Sure.
Number one. Number two, he thinks we're off base by how dare we think there's something up with
But what's interesting is that he comes from a place of saying he doesn't so him saying I've got a brain, I'm smart has nothing to do with anything that you're saying. So he's implying that your attention towards him must mean that you don't think he's intellectual.
Correct. And people confuse all this stuff oftentimes. The emotional systems, the intellectual systems.
Yeah, it's
they're all
so
different.
hard being people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It really is not an easy.
Yes,
an
we
easy
have all
burden.
these weird layers in our brain systems, and they aren't well integrated.
Yeah, and
Not normally.
stuff happens over the course of your childhood that's going to shape and inform the types of things that you're attracted to, the type of attention that you believe you deserve,
100%.
the things that make you feel valued.
Try it out, Seth.
Or
Try
even
it out.
just
Try it out, buddy. Maybe you're the one. So,
I'm already married, and
I don't know.
things are good.
Yeah.
I guess I don't.
Yeah, you're not compartmentalizing.
I haven't seen this guy's video and thought, there's my alternative.
There's my hall pass.
Honey, I've got some bad news.
Well, good news, bad news.
I'm leaving you for a guy with a firm handlebar.
Just try it out, buddy.
You know what? He never wears a shirt, and I guess that's my thing.
And bunny ears, that's part of your deal too. But we've since made real contact and did a home visit.
Oh,
And there you are. You'll be
home visit, like an analysis? Was that something he wanted?
how would you frame that, Nadav?
Well, we just sent Seth. You met Josh Potter earlier. He's the other guy in this room. We sent him to go hang out with him for like an hour or two, just getting in his head, seeing what.
Just find out what's going on.
How he got into drinking piss.
Yeah.
And we got answers. Yeah,
was that an accident, or was that a curio? Like, how do you?
No. Well, we edited it out, but he broadcast his address and phone number, and we have merch, around him. So we just wanted to, send Josh over there and
thank him personally.
package. Yeah.
Thank him personally. And he hoards. He's a little bit of a hoarder, which, surprise, surprise.
Pee jars for in case of emergency.
And I don't remember the pee transition. How he learned about how he came to drinking pee.
Oh, well, that's going to be a YMH exclusive. We're going to have a little thing that we upload to our Clips channel that people will be able to check out.
Oh, that's why I didn't see that. Okay. Is that available now?
No, but it will be very soon.
Because I'm going to have to upload it.
I'm obviously very curious in this guy's
Seth
story.
and I are both going to go to YMH and upload.
That's got to be two different classifications of urine interaction, is the consuming it versus the having someone pee on you.
Yes, the raining down, the golden shower versus the actual drinkage.
Yeah, growing up, I had two different girls who, like, once we had started becoming intimate, were like, so what's up? You want to pee on me? And I was like, let's talk about that.
Whoa, what'd they say?
No. And it was always just like something they liked.
Oh, they liked it.
Yeah, they wanted it.
I wondered if it was something that had happened to them along the road there, and they figured, guys all like this.
It was a next level of their own desire and something they were discovering about themselves that they liked.
Okay,
being
and
peed
you're
on.
just a kid from Philly. What did you think? You're here in Hollywood going, what the hell?
I just don't judge. And I read, I've read so much, literature and philosophy and theology exploration. I really, I think, am deeply empathetic towards being human and what it takes to
How weird we are.
well, just how specific an individual all of our needs and desires are, and I really don't judge. If you're not hurting anybody, if your thing is being hurt, I don't know. It's not my thing, but at the same time, whatever got you there, just be safe about it.
I'm actually with you. I'm just not as, because I automatically feel, I feel like, what happened? I just automatically feel that I'm not quite as flat with it as I maybe should be. You know what I mean?
But you're also trying to diagnose and help somebody get to a healthier way of living.
Absolutely.
Whereas I've just sort of absorbed that this is where they're at after years of self-discovery. And so if it's working and that's what you need, I guess
That's your boy.
Don't
try it out.
Don't hurt anyone in the process, and please don't die.
Let's do. Oh, I like that. Now, a quick break from the show to tell you about one of our sponsors, our friends at Stamps.com. Now, my family is early adopters of Stamp. I remember one time I was on my desk and I saw stamps with my kids' pictures on them, and I was like, "Oh my God, my wife's counterfeiting stamps." I couldn't understand how she did it. She's like, "Oh, Stamps.com." I'm like, "What is that? You mean you don't have to go to the post office anymore?" Who has time to do that, right? No one has time. That's why you need Stamps.com. It's one of the most popular time-saving tools for small businesses. Stamps eliminates the trip to the post office, save you money with discounts you can't even get at the post office. So anything you would do at the post office, You can do with Stamps, and you get special discounts on top of that. So why would you ever do anything else? Stamp brings all the services of the U.S. Post Office to your computer. Whether you're a small office sending invoices, an online seller, whatever it is, Stamps can handle it all. Simply use your computer to print U.S. official postage 24/7 for any letter, any package, anywhere. And once your mail is ready, just hand it to the mail carrier or drop it in a mailbox. That's all you got to do. The hard part is over. But Stamps.com, you get 5 cents off every first-class stamp, up to 40% off priority mail. Not to mention, it's a fraction of the cost of most of the expensive postage meters. I mean, why would you? I have no idea why you even think about using that today. Stamps is a no-brainer, saves time, saves money. It's no wonder that over 700,000 small businesses are already using Stamps. So, right now, for our listeners, get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage. Free postage is like free money. Free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitment. And of course, with that digital scale, you can weigh every letter or package, plug it into your computer, find out exactly what the postage should be, print up that postage. It's that simple. Just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, type in Dr. Drew, D-R-D-R-E-W. Again, that is Stamps.com to get, again, this 4-week trial plus postage and the digital scale. Stamps.com, microphone at the top of the homepage, and then code D-R-D-R-E-W. And of course, another one of our sponsors is Care Of. They are a subscription service that delivers vitamins and supplements customized for your specific needs. You take a short quiz, you answer some questions about your diet, lifestyle, fitness, health goals, then Care Of puts together a personalized plan just for you. And it's summer coming, so health and wellness should be a priority. Care Of is so easy to use. It's actually kind of fun. You specify exactly your health goals, what your diet needs are, your lifestyle choices. It only takes about 5 minutes. I was actually very impressed both with the questions and with the personalized vitamin and supplement profile they created for me. It's hard to know sometimes what vitamin supplements you should take. Well, with Care Of, they're delivering it for you. They personalize it. And depending on your personalized Care Of plan, you'll get daily vitamin packs and or protein powder sent right to your door. It's customized. And the packets even have your name on it. It's kind of cool. You just open the package and it is that easy. You don't have to think about it. And you can modify your subscription at any time, depending on your preferences if they change. Care Of makes sure that what you're putting in your body comes from the best sources backed by honest and transparent guidance. It's available all on the website. Vegan, vegetarian supplements, options are available to you. Whatever your dietary needs are, they try to meet it. So give yourself the support you need this season. Help you be your healthiest self. So I actually took the quiz, as I said, and I had my own personalized pack, which I take to this day. And in addition to the vitamins, some of the supplements they're advocating are really quite good. And they're, of course, sourced carefully. And I was generally impressed that it was all evidence-based and there was rational selection and based, again, on my personalized need. So here's what I want you to do. For 25% off your first Care Of order, go to takecareof.com. Takecareof.com. Enter the code Dr. Drew. Again, 25% off, which is a great deal. Go to takecareof.com and enter the code Dr. Drew. It's fun. It's easy. You get that quiz, find out what you need, and you get the 25% off at takecareof.com. Now let's go back to our show. Let's do a couple emails. I'm a teacher. I have bad breath. I clean my teeth. I floss. I use stronger mouthwash. I'm so conscious about it. I have to get close to hundreds of people throughout the week. I think the source is my tonsils. I've always had tonsil stones. Oh, this is interesting. I managed to get that actually happens.
Yeah.
What do you get debris caught back in there and it just festers?
Yeah, because if tongue scraping and if it's not some kind of like actual decay in your teeth that's given a bad smell.
Yeah, well, it can be a reflux too. But
diet related.
The back of the tongue, deep, the vallecula it's called. But she's upset. She says it's fucking terrible. I'm always a bit bunged up, hay fever, etc. My ears need syringing fairly often.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder if it's an allergy
I wonder if it's
issue.
all a sort of head and neck thing. But before you put a 42-year-old through surgery for bad breath, what can I do? Would having my tonsils out sort out the problem? It might.
Maybe.
I would definitely see an ear, nose, and throat doctor and somebody good and have a whole conversation about what's going on with all the secretions and the accumulations. So what she's talking about, it's a she, I'm assuming, in the UK. But when tonsils are big, they have little like pockets in them. People see white spots on their tonsils, sometimes they're just looking at these stones and this debris that accumulates in the pockets in the tonsils, and that stinks.
You know what's unfortunate is it's probably going to take a little bit of investigation.
I know.
You're probably just going to have to
know.
be patient and go through each of these steps to get to it.
I think I would get my tonsils out.
Yeah, if you don't need them.
Yeah, I would do that. It's and now it's hello, Big Dong Daddy.
Oh,
I don't know.
well, how'd they know your nickname?
I don't know. I guess these guys gave it to everybody. Ever since I was a kid, the sound of Velcro ripping would immediately make my head hurt really badly. The parts of my head that are hurt are the forehead and the sides.
Stay away from ASMR.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is Velcro part of the ASMR thing, or just
people
all kinds of weird sounds?
I mean, ASMR is like such a deep subculture that any sound is both making somebody crazy or making them crazy. Like it's so specific to the individual experience.
I mean, that's really interesting. When I've listened to ASMR, I listen to it on the Calm app, and I go to sleep. That's all it does. It makes me kind of.
What sound are you listening to?
Just
it's not like crinkling potato chips.
Yeah. Somebody whispering. That's all.
Some people, it's like the actual opening of a particular type of chip bag, and that's their thing. And then the handling of it, your fingers against the side, the chips themselves, like that gets some people off. It's a fascinating subculture.
Like a sexual thing? Like sexual?
Yeah. See, I love sound just because I like radio play, and I love theatrics and telling story. And you can tell stories with sound with no visuals that awaken different parts of your imagination. So the listener sees things through their most flawless interpretation of it just based on the sound that you orchestrate. So I've always been really attentive to the specificity of sound, the detail of it, and what certain sounds trigger in your brain. But that was before I knew people were getting off on it.
I get the theatrics, the theatricality of sound, but there's also sort of a neurobiology amongst other things where there's the sounds, the hearing systems interact with other elements in your brain. They're just adjacent to a lot of things, and so they trigger all kinds of stuff that we're not sort of conscious.
But it's like a smell, gives you a memory, or like a particular song takes you to an emotional place in your life when that meant something. And
like
so
smells,
it's the same kind of thing. Salt being, drifted through your cracks of your fingers. Get somebody off.
Try it out, Seth. Just try it out. What do you think is going on? I've searched online. Is there any way I can get a free MRI for research at U of M while I'm playing the sounds of Velcro? You probably have something called misophonia. You want to check that out. It's people get just really have a huge reaction to certain sounds, and there's a whole field of study in there. But you don't need an MRI to kind of know it. Isn't there? I think there's another subset of misophonia. I'm not thinking what it's called, but it's all kind of related. Sounds make you feel bad. Panic attack. Well, let's get a voice message. Let's get a voice before more emails.
Hey, Dr. Drew. I'm a 24-year-old male, a little heavier set, but not overly obese. I had this weird thing that happens. I don't know if it happens to everybody or not, but sometimes my belly button will get like fluid in there, and it's really fucking smelly. And then when I clean it out with like a Q-tip, there'll be blood in there. And I have no idea what it is, but I don't think it's like worthy to go see a doctor about. Just wondering if you had any insights on it.
Okay.
Love the podcast. I'm home here now. Thanks, Mommy.
Go to a doctor, first of all.
Yes.
Yeah, dermatologist or a GP.
Well, any physician can handle it. But I'm going to comment about something else he said first. These days, when somebody says, I'm not obese, I'm not overweight, I never know what they're talking about. Because people, Adam and I used to sort of do this on Loveline. We just go, well, how much do you weigh? I'm not nothing. No. I'm big bone. I'm a big person. But how much weight? 280. Anyway,
5'6".
Yeah,
280.
Right. And you're like, whoa. It's like that is kind of big. So this is actually common. Your umbilicus is actually has a potential space in it. People get abscesses in there, and they get infections in there. Debris accumulates in there and sort of festers. It does need to be cleaned out. It can get quite serious. You can get abscesses inside there.
The real trick is probably clean it attentively all the time.
But first it needs to be the smell is actually anaerobic bacteria that grow in there, and there may be an abscess behind there. So somebody needs to look at it, check it out, try it out, and clean it out completely. Yeah, somebody's probably into this too. Just saying.
Somebody probably gets off on administering that ointment-laden Q-tip.
Oh my God, people are into everything. Panic attacks.
Thank God they are.
Yeah, thank God. Been having panic attacks for the last year. I definitely know they're related to alcohol. My boyfriend of 5 years and I met drinking. I've done it since, but now we are fighting all the time. He wants us to try to accept each other with who we are, but he's an alcoholic too. I'm the only one who admits it. I want some clarity about how he is acting. I'm ready to admit and quit, and he is a deep denial. You cannot be responsible for his using or recovery. He always makes me feel guilty when he looks back on the weekend. He talks about the activities, but I just see it as drinking. You were drinking buddies to begin with, and when somebody opts out of the drinking buddy game, it makes for a rocky relationship, particularly if you get sober. I don't know what to do. Please, if you give me some insight. The panic attacks may be from coming off the alcohol, right? When you come off, people have withdrawal and very commonly will develop panic attacks for a couple of weeks afterwards. So that might be the panic attack. Then you add to that the stress in your relationship and you're panicking about that. You got to take care of yourself, let him do what he does, but don't get, if you're really an alcoholic, it's gonna be very difficult for you not to get sucked back in, not just because of the way he's guilting you, but you love alcohol and you're gonna feel missing out, and it's gonna be rough. This is gonna be a rough road, and you may really want to think about a mutual aid society, like a 12-step program.
That's why they discourage anybody from dating while they're getting sober, because you're working out such basic things.
Yeah, there's a couple things. I mean, one is that two new sober people usually take each other out. And one sober person and one using person, you're going to use, typically. Unless you get very serious about your recovery. And as you do, it's going to pull you away from the using person. They're going to get resentful, feel abandoned, use more, and either get sober themselves or leave.
Yeah.
That's typically what happens. And in recovery, once you're in recovery, we say don't make any major changes for a year because you're changing so much and you need to change so much that anything you do relationship-wise sort of locks you in where you are. Because we go for different people at different stages of our development, right?
Would you think in that case that it's healthy for these two, not like I'm trying to tell anybody to break up, but is it healthy for them to be trying to stay together in that dynamic?
Is it healthy? Is it
productive?
Yeah, I specifically don't tell anybody how to live their life. You know, I just give them advice on what will more. If she says I can't stay sober, what should I do? I keep going back. I would probably say, well, maybe you got to go away for a while. Maybe you got to look at this relationship. I wouldn't tell her what to do. I would just say, it's complicating things, isn't it?
Yeah.
So how are you going to handle that? See what she does.
It's better. That's why you're a professional doctor.
Better. Even though I like all your stuff today. Let's get another voice message.
Hey, Dr. Drew. My name is Adam, and I am in a wheelchair. I have a form of muscular dystrophy called limb girdle dystrophy.
Oh, my goodness.
Which only affects my shoulders and my ability to walk.
Interesting.
I recently got engaged, and I'm having a lot of issues with my future husband's family due to the fact that I'm in a wheelchair. They don't seem to like it. And how do I deal with that? Please help, because I don't know what the hell to do.
Oh, that's awful.
That's sad. Yeah, that's awful. I'm sorry that you're having to deal with that. I'm sorry the family is so close-minded. I wonder if that's it. It seems so medieval to be thinking that way.
People are judgmental for all kinds of reasons,
so.
and especially parents. It's hard to understand unless you really investigate them where that's coming from. But that's cruel, to say the least, to throw judgment at your kids' choice in partners, and then especially to alienate them for any particular
disability
affliction. Yeah.
Well, I guess the way you handle it is the same as you would any other objection when you're in a committed relationship, which is it's your life, not theirs. And if they don't want to participate and be supportive, you can only distance yourself, right? That's about all you can do.
I mean, that sucks, and you hope that they would come around, but your relationship is your relationship.
But I rarely advocate, unless there's something horrible going on, just cut them off. I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm saying just, that if they don't want to be supportive and actively a part of your life, okay, they won't be. Don't cut them off, and be kind to them and be forgiving and be whatever. It's their stuff.
Yeah, don't let their behavior or their perspective alter you and how you handle your interactions or what scope of love you're willing to give.
Well said. I saw your spot on news the other day on the danger LA is facing. I thought you needed more time to explain the seriousness. Will you give just a little more time on the After Dark show?
It's about homelessness.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's gotten crazy.
It's out of control.
It is. It
is.
I've been doing a lot of work with homeless organizations in LA for a long time, and it's never been
like this.
What do you? My armchair philosophy is that there was such a boom over the last 20 years of new developments, but all of those developments are in consideration of
This isn't a housing problem.
High income.
This isn't a housing problem.
It's not.
No.
What is
That's a hoax. That's a hoax being perpetrated by the government here locally. They need to stop.
That there isn't, because it seems
Of course we have housing expense issues, but we just absorbed 1 million illegal undocumented immigrants without a home, without a country, without a job, without a penny. We absorbed them. They found a place to live. It's a hoax. So it's a mental health crisis and addiction crisis, full on. So it's Prop 47, Prop 57. So people came out of the prisons, and people that had mental illness that shouldn't have been in prison in the first place, frankly, ended up on the streets. And then because we made drugs legal essentially in California, all my people are here. My patients came by the tens of thousands.
Wow.
And so the drug users are here now because they don't get hassled. And if you're a drug addict, then you know it's warm and you don't get hassled. And by the way, you can steal and not even get hit for a misdemeanor. You can steal $950 a day and not be hit for anything. Just get a ticket.
How do you consider, what is stealing $950? That sounds so specific.
It's new Prop 47, 57 laws, which is they took all these felonies and they made them misdemeanors, including stealing up to nearly $1,000 a day.
I see.
So if you have a habit of $1,000 a week, you're fine. You just steal a couple things or stand out in front of the freeway and
I've been seeing just tent cities everywhere.
It's out of control. It's everywhere. But here's my concern. I feel horrible for these people on the streets, and I can't abide by it. And the fact that the government is continuing to hoax us about it being a housing problem. Yes, we have a housing problem. It's a separate issue. We have a mental health crisis in this city. And what concerns me is the people go, why are you so concerned now? There's one word: rats. Have you seen what's happened with the rats? We have like 12 million rats in Los Angeles now. And the last time we had more than 2 million, plague broke out. Plague is endemic in the area. So we have typhus, right? And so I knew typhus would break out. It broke out last summer. It's coming this summer. Make sure you control your pet's fleas. It's sort of a downer to get into this, but let me finish it. Plague, if 2% of the rat population harbors plague, humans will get plague.
Wow.
And that's all we need and with the millions of rats we have here, it's going to happen. It's just going to happen. Hopefully it won't be bad, but typhus is going to be bad. If measles gets into this population, this is a not medically well, not properly immunized group. Measles will rip through. Tuberculosis is breaking out like crazy. Non-tuberculous AFB is breaking out. And we had typhoid fever 2 weeks ago. I mean, it's profound what could happen here. And we've had 1,000 die so far this year. How many have to die before? I mean, they're tarps. You see the tarps around? There's homeless people dead. When's the city going to drop their hoax and start really, really helping people? It's unconscionable.
What do we do?
Well, there's a couple things. I just found out today the fire chief has the opportunity to bring up something called I wrote it down. It's like a hazard, like a imminent hazard, like a catastrophe plan. He can do that. I'm trying to get behind the qualified immunity of the politicians so we can go after them for reckless negligence, which they are. They're recklessly negligent.
What does that mean?
They are engaged in behavior and clinging to policies that are directly harming human beings, causing death directly. And I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. I'm sick of it. I wake up every day freaked out about it. So, and as a physician that's practiced in so many decades in this area, I kind of know how infectious disease work here.
Yeah.
I see what's coming. I literally feel like I'm on a railroad track and there's bridges out. And I'm like, the bridge is out. And I'm getting the finger from the conductor. That's what I feel like. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait about a month, and if this thing ramps up, I'm going to slowly put pressure on the fire chief to see if he would be willing to call it an emergency.
Yeah.
If enough people die. I mean, how many have to die? Think about that.
Jesus.
And by the way, the other thing we can do is expand Lanternum and Petrus. We have this act that back in the 60s, when people needed treatment, they got treatment. It was called need for care. And
right.
That's it. They got care. Well, that resulted in some excesses, right? Psychiatry was doing lobotomies and Thorazine and things. That's not going to happen anymore. But because of those excesses, we decided that need for care is no longer a criteria. You must be imminent harm to self or other. There's a giant distance there.
Yeah.
We could fill in with other things like difficulty meeting your medical needs, difficulty meeting your nutritional needs. If you have areas where if you had dementia and these things were happening to you and people didn't help you, you'd be inhuman. But because psychiatric illnesses cause the same symptoms, oh, you can't touch that. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
It's really a mess.
Well, this has always been an area of interest in mine, especially because when I first came to California, it seemed like there were so many homeless people. And back when they were developing the geodesic dome cities, I got really involved with that project.
Was that Ted Hayes?
Yeah.
Yes, Ted Hayes. So I'm talking to Ted regularly. We're trying to figure something out.
Well, because it has always been, or at least until I believed the housing hoax, I have always understood that it's as simple as people having some kind of medical or mental concern, them not being able to pay for their medicine, them not being able to stay employed, and them not being able to keep their house. And then once you're on the street, it's nearly impossible to recover. So part of what I got involved in with the most was the transitional housing and the job training.
There are people that need that for sure.
Yeah.
Those aren't the ones that are going to die in the street.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are in trouble. They're transient. They're using sources. And there's a lot of those people.
The
And they
reason I
need help, and
mention it
there's a lot of help out there for them.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that you've got an ally. If there's any way that I can help, this is such a real close to home issue for me.
They keep pointing at that population. I'm like, yes, that population needs our help, but we are helping them. The piece that's emergent are the people that are talking to themselves, shooting up heroin, shooting up meth, and languishing on the streets. You see them.
Yeah.
They're not going back to work, and they're not going to be able to pay rent.
No,
that's not going to happen.
And
ever.
the average person standing on the side of the freeway with a sign is still physically caring for themselves somehow, you know? Like the average person, they seem like they've got you don't see people truly run down and degraded the way that...
There's no food problem.
Yeah.
Food isn't the problem, because the rats that's why we have the rat problem, because the food is all cast out onto the street and stuff. Really, it's complicated. It's not complicated. It's actually simple. Expand Lanterman Petras, expand conservatorship, and let's start helping get these people treated, and let's get them back to living.
Where's that start? Is it at the mayoral level? Is
the mayor has to start talking about it as what it is, which is a mental health crisis and an addiction crisis. And we're probably going to have to enforce drug laws, because you have to motivate drug addicts to get better. And how else are you going to motivate them? And so all I know is they're going to die if we don't. They're going to die. These are not static disorders. They're progressive disorders.
Yeah.
And they're going to die. And so I can't live with that. I can't live in a city where people just allow people to die on the streets.
Yeah, it's pretty horrific.
It's unbelievable. I'm glad you're doing the piece you're doing, because there are people that need those services like crazy.
But at the same time, if you want to offline this with me, I'd love to talk to you about ways that we can
we'll do it.
Do something.
Sorry, guys in the back. I hear you're not laughing at this one, so it's all right.
No. This is great. It was
an email. It was a legitimate email. But I'm overcome thinking about this all the time. And of course, they're all my people I know how to take care of. I've to take care of these populations for years and years and years. And I see it, and I see what's happening, and I know what it is. And it's insulting to have our government officials insist it's a housing problem. There's a housing problem.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. And there's massive need for what you've been working on, the transitional housing and the job. Fantastic. But people are doing that. That part we're getting that part. This part of the really seriously ill that don't want help and refuse help and refuse housing and are at risk for or getting infectious diseases.
And growing by the thousands
and
all the time.
And progressing. That's the part they go, well, if they want to live in the street, you're committing them to death. That's okay with you? Not okay with me. So let's get another voice message before I wrap this thing up. Let's do that.
Hi, Dr. Drew. It's Wesley. Hope you're keeping it high and tight.
High and tight.
So recently I ran my first marathon, and after I finished, I noticed my sense of taste was dull to the point where I could almost taste nothing for the rest of the day.
Interesting.
Now, I went back to normal the next day, but I was kind of curious what the reason for that might be. Thanks.
Was that just
high and tight?
Is it just dehydration?
I don't know. It actually kind of concerns me a little bit. Now smell is a major part of taste rather. And if you notice, he sounded a little congested. I wonder if in the course of running, he became more congested, as your blood's flowing different parts of your body. But I might talk to somebody about that, because that's it's weird enough that it bothers me. It's an unusual symptom. I suspect it's nothing, but I'd want to just at least examine you to see if there's any hints as to why that happened. Seth, Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I'm sorry that we're like ships in the night and we only get to talk to each other on radio and
No, this
podcasts.
is the benefit of never quitting this industry is that we'll continue to run into each other for the rest of our careers.
Right, fair enough.
Yeah.
So never commit to me. You'll never quit.
Never quit.
Never quit.
Never
All
quit.
right, done. You'll heard it here. We're never going to quit. And what? Oh, and I'm going to be Colonel Sanders one day soon, right?
Yeah, we can probably make that happen.
You could probably pull it off too. We just get everything white and.
That's exactly what people need is for me to.
I'm just saying. And my wife wants me to be sure to always point out that check out the Dr. Drew. It's all at drdrew.com, the Dr. Drew podcast, the Adam and Drew podcast, This Life podcast. And don't forget, Changeland is now available where?
Everywhere. It's actually all across all national VOD. So your cable on demand, your iTunes, your
Netflix?
Google Play, your Amazon. Netflix would be a secondary deal, but right now it's available
Amazon.
everywhere.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
All right. It's worth your time. And I felt good afterwards, but I wouldn't call it a feel-good film. You know
I'm
what I
really
mean?
glad. That was kind of my whole point
Yeah.
in distributing it this way was so that just the way that I've been going to movies lately, I see a lot more stuff at home, and I wanted people to be able to take a kind of ownership of this movie or have an intimate experience.
Yeah, it's a without being corny feel good. It's something you will end up feeling good about,
And it's in your house tonight if you want it.
go do it. Change that. And thank you, Seth. Let me try that again. Thank you, Seth, and I'll see
Thank you, True.
Bye, buddy. All conversations and information exchanged during participation in the Dr. Drew After Dark podcast or interaction on the drdrew.com website is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only. Do not confuse this with treatment or physician medical advice or direction per se. You must always follow your medical professional's advice and direction. Nothing on these podcasts or posted on this site supplements or supersedes the relationship and direction of your medical caretakers. Please understand, I am not playing the role of physician in this environment per se. I'm educating. I am a licensed physician with specialty boards in American Board of Internal Medicine and American Board of Addiction Medicine.